Welcome back to Whovo Review. I am Farrar, your host, and we have two guests this week, Louis.
Hello.
And Anna.
Woo!
And we are wrapping the season, guys. Can you believe that?
It was over very quickly.
It was.
A quick 12 weeks. And amazing, because this episode really dragged for me.
A little bit.
What was it, 55 minutes long?
Look, after Heaven Sent,
Which was also 55
it
minutes
would be
long?
really tough to do, any better.
It's kind of a shame, because in this season, we broke the habit of good first part, let down second part.
Yeah?
And then we got to the end of the season, and it happened again.
We broke it in the Zygon episode, but the episode with the Fisher King was really a letdown to me at the end. So,
Okay, come to think of it, fine, we're 2 and 2.
Yeah.
We had two good two-part stories and two kind of meh
Right.
two-part stories. I remember watching it and liking parts of it, but coming away from it overall saying, that wasn't really satisfying.
Yeah.
And I can't really put my finger on one thing that really did it for me, apart from the fact that I guess we're not willing to let characters die anymore.
Oh, well.
Because Clara has now been given a second send-off, and presumably a third, whenever she decides that she's actually hanging around with the person who got her killed in the first place, which apparently she forgot as they ride around.
Forgave.
That was quick.
Well,
Did they have a forgiveness scene that was cut from the episode?
she did already admit that it was entirely her fault. She messed up and took the mark.
True.
Yeah.
And she also said that she would eventually make it back around to Gallifrey. Mm-hmm. So she's not evading her fate completely.
She just said there was wiggle room.
Right.
Well, she's also forgiven Ashildr for setting up the doctor like that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of forgiveness from Clara no-holds-barred Oswald, who...
Well, they seem to have been friends from before.
When?
Every time Ashildr rereads the messages, she loves them. She brings it up every time.
Okay. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it really holds water for me. As long as they don't follow this up with some sort of spin-off show, I'll be okay with it.
One thing I will say, though, that's the only TARDIS I've ever seen where the inside matched the outside.
Yeah.
Because it's a restaurant on the outside and on the inside.
Because the chameleon circuit also works on the inside?
No, I think they just had a room in the TARDIS that was designed to look like the restaurant. And then you go beyond that room and you get into the rest of the TARDIS, which looks like the TARDIS.
But it's the front room, whereas before the front room was the console.
But the TARDIS is reconfigurable, though. They've approached that in other episodes. You
that's
can
fair.
move rooms around.
It's also possible that the roof's got a bunch of holes in it, making it just as well the outside as the inside.
Or it could have been built by Wonko the Sane.
Yeah.
Where the outside is the inside, and vice versa.
Well, one thing that I really did like was the return to the old default settings control room.
Oh, yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Round things.
Not only that, but they even made it look like the original console room actually had color.
Yeah.
But they painted all of the not white surfaces white, just to give it that retro
the
look.
pristine feel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That showroom new.
Yeah.
Really like that.
Classic feel. Yeah. And it's kind of a shame because I really like that console room.
I know.
Does it come with new car smell? New TARDIS smell?
They should have said something about that.
New TARDIS smell. Yeah.
New TARDIS air freshener hanging from the time rotor.
Sure, why not?
It comes with one of those little things you hang from the rearview mirror. I think it's called the Tree of Rassilon.
See what happens when Paul's not here? We just degenerate into a bunch of trivia.
Speaking of trivia, okay, I can put my finger on one thing that really annoyed me about this episode, and that was spelling it out for the audience.
Okay.
We know that Time Lords can regenerate and change sex. It's happened when the Master became Missy.
Sure.
But apparently that wasn't good enough. We had to get rid of Ken Bones and have a Time Lord regeneration male to female on screen.
Right.
Just to kill all of the crazy fan theories out there that Missy wasn't really the Master because we didn't see the transformation on screen.
The only time I've been a man, that last body. Dear Lord, how do you cope with all that ego?
Now that raises 2 points. One, was Ken Bones tired of Doctor Who? Because he's a great actor, and I really think his character was wasted. And two, Is the Doctor the only person who has like this weird period of transition right after his regeneration? Because she
right.
got up and she was ready to
She
go
was
right
back to
after
work.
Yeah,
Right.
which is very strange because in every regeneration we've seen, old series and new series, the Doctor has had this kind of
There's a period of figuring it out.
where he's kind of in flux.
Yeah,
and
really
he's-
off. Really not right in the head.
Yeah.
On top of that, I mean, if you want to really pick it apart, the staser guns were not supposed to permit regeneration, right?
No.
We're on Gallifrey. Death is Time Lord for Man Flu.
Med team to Sector 52, Extraction Chamber 7, regeneration in progress.
The control room on Gallifrey, the white room, looked very much like an old classic Doctor Who set, and so
Oh, yeah.
I did it like
Yeah.
that. But there were so many things that were thrown in there just seemingly for no reason. For instance, what were the Sisterhood of Karn doing there? You could accept that they are able to transport themselves. I think they showed them doing that once on Brain of Morbius, right?
I know that they were able to transport the TARDIS in Brain of Morbius.
By
but-
mental energy alone, and that's amazing. So
Right. So,
I mean-
I
So
guess
maybe.
they could transport themselves to a
Sure.
locked off planet at the end of the universe somewhere.
Maybe.
That's fine. But
they were supposed to originally have been in the same constellation as Gallifrey.
yeah, but in addition to the Sisterhood, there were a number of things that were there and they didn't have to be, like when they were crawling around down in the bowels of the Matrix or whatever
the
it was.
cloisterates?
Yeah. Why not come up with a new monster to menace them instead of just the same old Cybermen,
Well, it didn't
Dalek, and
seem
Weeping
like-
Angel?
It
Was it
didn't
just
seem
for
like they
budget
did
reasons?
anything anyway.
They didn't.
Like they were so scary, but they just sat there.
Right.
It was just
They were
thrown in.
Yeah. ignored.
Another one
Yeah.
of these eerie but ineffectual monsters
Yeah.
that Doctor Who is
Yeah.
really good at coming up with these days.
It was
Yeah.
just thrown in for something
I mean,
on the
how
screen.
long were they sitting in the one spot and not being touched at all?
In the light.
In the light,
Right.
in
Yeah.
the middle of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently not too far from the door either.
Right.
Yeah, I
And they could have made more of the Matrix, you know?
Yeah.
The original Deadly Assassin episode just invented the entire virtual reality world of the Matrix, and I don't even know where Robert Holmes got that, but I'm quite sure it had never been done on television before.
and it was very well explained
Right.
too.
Right.
In a scene that didn't take very long to explain it.
Right.
One of the things that I've had to deal with the new series is that on the one hand, they spell things out for the audience, but on the other hand, we're expected to believe a lot of things that we don't see.
Right.
And a lot of those explanations are just a single line. We're assumed to get it or figure it out later, and it's just on with the action.
How can I be walking about?
Because the Time Lords are very clever.
What did they tell us about the Matrix in this episode? Anybody remember?
Well, they told us that as the repository of all dead Time Lord minds, it was able to actually prophesy the future.
Yeah, which is something that the old Matrix couldn't do.
I don't know
correct?
about that. Was that a detail in Invasion of Time?
I don't remember, but I know that in Big
I think
Finish,
it was.
in, I want to say it was Neverland, the Big Finish audio that was the beginning of the end of the Eighth Doctor's companion Charlie.
Okay.
According to that, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because apparently the Big Finish universe and New Who universes are beginning to dovetail and beginning to merge.
Good. I wonder who's overseeing that.
Because they mentioned the web of time.
Okay.
Which is something that only existed in the Big Finish universe before. So they talked about the web of time, and in the Big Finish universe, the Matrix was where Time Lord consciousness was uploaded, and then they basically became a living, non-living, undead, not quite dead. They became a repository for the events that they had witnessed.
Okay.
So
Living history.
yeah. So basically, every Time Lord who is uploaded, their experiences are added to the Matrix, and the Matrix becomes a sort of chronicle of time.
Okay, that makes a
Okay.
lot more sense. That's
Sure.
not bad, but
I don't see why you couldn't be able to predict the future from the past.
Well, I
History
mean,
does repeat itself.
people have been
Yeah.
doing it for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
No.
Yeah, I suppose not. But it was quite a stunning revelation that was really very quickly glossed over.
Right.
Well,
Oh, by the way, they can predict the future.
maybe
Let's
the
move on.
Sisterhood had to be there to read it.
Well, but then again, there was that in the Deadly Assassin, what was his name? Barusa?
Barusa.
Hmm.
Chancellor Barusa.
They were talking about the different sects of Time Lords,
Right.
Prydonian, and
That hasn't been mentioned in a long time.
well, and he said something about, the Prydonian's nothing special. We simply see a little further ahead than most.
Yeah.
And that was always very interesting to me. So I thought, okay, so that means that all Time Lords can see a little bit into the future, and some of them can see further ahead than others. And we've never seen that again.
Well,
No
I
one's
think-
ever made mention
I
of it.
think the doctors even kind of explained that he can see multiple possibilities of outcomes based on the current events.
Yeah, but that's different than seeing into the future.
Is it?
Well, yeah. Being able to predict probability is one thing. I mean, that's basically all that is.
Yeah.
Taking a given set of parameters, i.e. the present, and then extrapolating possible futures.
Well,
from
wait
it.
a minute. No.
But
What-
then it's being able to see that if you don't mess with it, this is the direction it's going
right.
to go.
Is a prophecy a certain future?
Or is it just one of a
Apparently it
Right.
is.
multitude of possibilities?
I'm with Anna on this one. I think that it's just something that might happen if you don't watch out.
Yeah.
Well, if that's true, then why call it a prophecy instead of a prediction? A prophecy is supposed to carry more weight, isn't it?
Inevitable doom.
Or bringing balance to the force.
Maybe it's just that there was multiple possibilities that all leaded up to the same conclusion, thus making it a prophecy.
9 out of 10 minds agree.
Yeah?
9 out of 10 minds in the Matrix agree.
Right.
Sure.
Where has the doctor gone?
Back to the beginning, I should think.
The Sisterhood of Khan has no business in this chamber or on this planet.
I heard the doctor had come home. One so loves fireworks.
This episode was very problematic for me. First of all, that Clara didn't die.
Aw.
Second of
Well,
all,
we all
that,
But her
wanted her
death
to
is
die.
set and she can come back to it. She promises to come back to it.
Yeah.
oh yeah, but she was willing to die in the previous episode, but now suddenly she's like, maybe not.
So much for noble death.
And she was all, let me be brave, let me be brave. Oh, on the other hand, let me squeak out of it and spend however long I
Milk
want
it for all
to.
it's worth, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they certainly know their audience, you know?
Because now I have a hot chick to hang out with and spend eternity with because she's immortal and hey, let's have at it.
You can't tell me you wouldn't do the same.
I wouldn't.
Well,
I don't
all
like
right.
Maisie
Maybe
Williams.
not. No, maybe not if it was Maisie specifically, but if you had a
You know,
second chance.
You could always
you knew
space
that-
her or leave her on a planet somewhere.
Sure.
I mean, come on.
There's gonna
Clever, but not that clever.
I mean, your death is set. You know when to come back to it.
But okay, here's a possibility. In the adventures of Clara and Maisie, a tree falls on her. And now she can't go back to the moment of her death. Oh crap. The universe
it was
is
only a
ruined.
split second before she was dead anyway.
No, well,
In theory,
okay,
you
but-
just have to return her body and pretend nothing happened.
Okay, so now Maisie has to get the tree off of her. Sorry, Ishildur has to get the tree off of her and return
Me. She calls herself me now.
whatever. And now we have to bring flattened tree killed Clara.
Right. Yeah, you get into some problematic stuff when somebody cannot die, you know.
But neither of them can die. Not
if they're in like 5 pieces, or the 5 pieces going to get brought back to Gallifrey.
Sure.
What about a little bottle full of ashes that's somehow still alive?
Yeah, that's right. She's going to be split open by the guillotine, and you know, I just don't. Those two characters are very problematic.
Yeah.
Your death is an established historical event and cannot be altered.
Having immortal characters is problematic because the actors age.
Yeah. Having young women be immortal is a real problem.
Well, having any character whose aging can't be covered up with makeup.
Right.
Or
right.
Botox.
Right.
I don't know. Have you seen William Shatner recently?
Yeah.
He's down to like 2 emotions. But but I mean, so the next time we see Clara and Ishildur, if we do, it had better be soon because they're both young actresses and they're going to change as they age.
Like I said, audio drama.
Yeah, well,
Well, good for them.
We've completely wandered off the track.
Okay, let's get back to criticisms. Why did that have to be Rassilon? You know, that was to me a letdown.
They really completely ruined Rassilon's character, didn't they?
For the Doctor to kick Rassilon off of Gallifrey.
Well, and he really shouldn't have been able to do that. Rassilon invented time travel and Gallifreyan society as we know it.
You have information about the hybrid, a danger to all of us. If you'd told us what you knew, you could have walked out of there.
Get off my planet.
Wasn't he the one who brought peace to Gallifrey?
Yeah, as well as a stable black hole.
Yeah. So a stable
Yeah.
black hole, which was the source of their power, right?
So he's originally this magnificent, godlike engineer statesman.
Right. Who invented renewable energy and time travel.
Right.
Wow.
And now he's been
And now
reduced
he's
to
just
this
some schlub.
sniveling patriarch.
It would have been better if he was just some chancellor who was kind of a weak leader.
Maybe he was named after Rassilon.
What is it? Rassilon the 42nd.
Right.
Like Ramses 12, not quite the same as the original.
He hasn't been right since 5 Doctors, has he?
What's his plan?
I think he's finishing his soup.
There were things about this episode that I liked. Gallifrey looked good. It looked pretty good, where with the bubble city and then all the kind of desolation around.
Yeah, and I'll give them points too for the mention of the Shobogans, and also that really cool moment when the Gallifreyan soldiers side with the Doctor over loyalty from events that we've never seen in the Time War, and now I'm very intrigued by that.
Yeah, especially when you
Maybe
may
we'll
not
get to see that.
Well, I was going to say, especially when you don't know if the person you're looking at was someone that you served with. Like the guy who we thought was a young soldier actually wasn't a young soldier. He just regenerated since the Time War, like the Doctor.
Right.
And so he knew the Doctor didn't know him by name.
Right.
They do seem to recognize each other, though.
When it's convenient to the plot.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Yeah. Let's talk about plot convenience, shall we? This was a season finale in that it had a bunch of recognizable things that were thrown in because they're recognizable things and we want to have them in the trailer so that we'll all tune in. But the episode could have worked just fine without them.
Yeah.
I mean, we needed Time Lords in this episode.
Of course.
We didn't need the Weeping Angels, the Daleks, or the Cybermen.
They really had no part.
We didn't need the Sisterhood.
Right.
It would have made sense if, as I posited before, the Sisterhood of Karn were the go-betweens between me and the Time Lords. That way she didn't know who she was setting up or who she was working for.
Maybe.
But their presence was never really explained, was it?
No, it wasn't. It's a pity, too, because, I mean, who knows? The original script might have had a lot of explanations that got cut out for reasons of time.
I mean, overall, I think this episode worked. I mean...
Overall.
For all its flaws, I mean, the Doctor never really did anything that was completely out of character. Clara didn't really do anything that was out of her character. It was really just the supporting cast that I had a problem with. And the obvious gaffes, like the fact that when the Doctor's sitting there in front of the barn eating his soup amidst all of his followers who have gathered to watch him eat soup, the shadow that comes over the Doctor is quite obviously somebody holding up a giant board, over a light. Because when you see the ship's shadow looks nothing like that. That was a flat line that covers the Doctor. And the ship has like guns and things hanging off of it that would have created a different shadow. And it happened twice. That was the funny thing, is I didn't really notice it the first time. And then the second time I said, wait a minute, that's the wrong shadow.
Right. Well, they got you once. And the way these things are done, the visual effects team would not have had somebody on the set supervising unless it was needed for that effect shot.
Well, look, at least it's better than the awful shadow, the fake digital shadow that they had on Riggsy's face in that Face the Raven episode, where somebody figured out, oh crap, we have no overhead lighting in this shot. We have to do something. So we'll have him put a hat and a hoodie on, and we'll just tell the visual effects people, give him a shadow. Just give him a shadow. Pretend that there's overhead lighting and give him a shadow. Because everything else was coming in from the side in those scenes because of all the street lights, the lamps and that kind of thing.
Oh, well, it's amazing just how much visual effects artistry is required now just to patch up stuff that simply would have been a gaffe before, continuity errors. We've all seen them, but now nobody ever puts up with them anymore because you've got people that can go in and paint them out.
Yeah.
But there is a positive with having the one camera shoot, and that is you can have much larger shots.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the cameras being in shot in New Who, which allows the sets to be broader and deeper.
Yeah, the whole thing looks much more filmic. It's much more like a movie.
Yeah, especially on location.
Yeah.
Where I'm sure they're doing ADR. Either that or you have the best boom microphone ever, 12 feet above your actors.
No. Normally those are going to be mic'd up actors with transmitters on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really normal now.
I thought it was ADR.
No. No, a show like Who.
So they're wearing lav mics.
Yeah. A show like Who almost never does ADR.
Huh.
Almost never.
Well, I'll tell you what, they do a really good job matching the sound mic to mic.
Oh, yeah.
Because it all is very consistent.
Yeah, there's some fantastic mics out now that'll just put up, on your skin, and they can make up over them, and you'll never know.
I'm going to need the use of an extraction chamber to talk to an old friend.
I've complained a lot about this episode, but I'm not going to say that it was a total failure. It wrapped up the season well. It did what it had to do. Nobody was really hideously out of character, and it was a visually appealing episode that moved along at a pretty good pace. And overall, I'd say it was at least 5 out of 10.
And finally, too, we can put behind us the de rigueur season arc, which this time was the hybrid. And thank you, Stephen Moffat, for,
another arc that went nowhere.
Another arc that went nowhere, yeah.
That wasn't the only arc that went nowhere. Missy went nowhere.
Right. I expected fully for her to reappear on Gallifrey.
She was name-checked, and that was it.
Yeah.
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 She'll show up eventually.
Yeah. I hope she shows up next episode. That would be a wonderful triangle,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
it would.
Oh, God. Missy versus River Song.
Never has happened.
I'd
you
say
imagine?
it's time to bring back the tissue compression eliminator. I would love to see River Song shriveled up to the size of a California raisin.
Wow. Imagine the continuity. I mean, people have gone to so much trouble to chart out her timeline.
They have?
And that would wreck it. Totally. In fact, for that matter...
Another character who can't die because she has to go back to that episode.
Tennant and Smith were both, according to the Mirror or whatever, up in arms that Capaldi was going to get to mess with River now. And, oh well.
Is she just going to keep doing that as long as Alex Kingston is around? They're just going to keep writing River Song episodes?
I imagine they will.
Oh, boy.
Unless she gets her wish.
And that is what, her own spin-off series?
Yeah, an adult spin-off series with John Barrowman. She actually asked for it.
She's not going to get it, is she?
I don't know.
Let's hope not. Can you just imagine? Spoilers. Hello, sweetie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, can we give her a better catchphrase? I realize New Who loves catchphrases. Can we give her a better catchphrase than hello, sweetie? It's going to ruin every parent who talks to their child. Hello, sweetie.
That's what River Song says.
Doctor Who has made it a tradition of ruining everything associated with childhood.
This is true.
I mean, just look at the inroads
including
they've
the
made
monsters
just
under the
Christmas.
bed.
On pain of death, no one take a selfie.
What is Doctor Who going to ruin about Christmas this year?
Oh, come on. I loved last Christmas episode. I loved that episode.
I hated it.
Really?
You know why?
Why?
Because it put Christmas in a dark, fatalistic light because of what Danny said. Every Christmas is somebody's last Christmas. Oh, thanks a lot, guys.
Well,
oh, hey, we're here with Grandma and Grandpa. Maybe not next year.
And it was going to be Clara's exit episode, too.
And it should have been.
And it should have been. And it really worked out. Oh, well.
Boy, what kind of bargaining power did she have? Elizabeth Sladen had to work and cajole people so hard just to get a freeze frame. Jenna Coleman gets 3 exits, and her 3rd exit is not really an exit.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of contract negotiations did she
know.
get? Because, man, I want her lawyers on my side.
Yeah, well. We're now in the post-Clara era, so count your blessings.
Right.
Are we?
Yeah, we are.
Are you sure?
Quite sure.
I thought we were in the post-River era, but we're not.
Well, it's all contingent upon them getting work now, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe she'll only come back for Christmas episodes.
Clara will come back whenever she's between projects. She's gonna do
You're right.
She's gonna do a movie. She's gonna have a
course,
few
you're
months
right.
off. She's gonna do another movie. She's gonna have a few months off. She's gonna
Yeah,
do
well,
a miniseries.
I tell you what,
She'll come back to Doctor
whenever
Who.
they get around to having the Doctor Who movie, will it really be Clara fated to be in that movie as the companion? Because everybody loves Clara, right?
Apparently, not me, but that's okay. But since the Doctor Who universe is now the Star Wars universe, she can always come back as a Force ghost, just like Alec Guinness did.
Yeah, I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. After all, Doctor Who crossed over with Star Trek before it will ever cross over with Star Wars.
Yeah, but
that's already been put out as a comic, right? So,
Oh, I don't know about that. That's the first I've heard of it. But
Oh, you
really,
haven't seen that?
If you look at Doctor Who, it's really more fantasy adventure than it is science fiction.
right.
Well, I mean, there were writers who tried to bring more science into the show, and I think it succeeded in that era. But since 2005, the show has not been about that at all.
Right.
There's just enough explanation to make something sound scientifically plausible, and then we're moving on, and it's magic.
Yeah, and it hasn't been much about history either.
No.
It's been about
Well, even-
feels.
Even if it is history, it's aliens.
Yeah.
It's always aliens. We
Yeah.
go back into the past, and there's a menace.
So
And
it's not history, it's History Channel.
right. Exactly.
Yep. Except the president's being taken over by an alien.
The president of Gallifrey.
Yes.
Rassilon. Every president of
Different
Gallifrey is
alien.
named Rassilon.
And is a lizard.
Maybe Rassilon is a title.
Maybe. Just like the old Pridonian seal is now the seal of Rassilon.
It became an honorific.
Right.
You know, just like in
Yeah.
Star Trek, where
I dubbed thee Rassilon.
the Enterprise insignia eventually became the entire Starfleet insignia.
right.
Yeah.
And that same thing happened in Doctor Who with the seal of Rassilon.
Jeez. Let's hear it from Myopia. And still, favorite TV show.
What's to defend in a crypt?
It's not just a crypt, more like a stone circuit board. This is the Matrix database.
Database? What do you mean?
What if we had J.J. Abrams directing Doctor Who? It would move from fantasy adventure to action adventure.
Tell me it hasn't.
Right? It kind of already did.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've
Really-
been there many times.
Well, I mean, we've had some slower paced episodes, but really in the
Right.
last 2 seasons, it's been moving into that very fast paced
They
action
still like
adventure.
to keep the feels, though.
right.
They love the
You've
feels.
got the deeply emotional episodes. You've got the mind twister episodes, and then you've got the action adventure comedy episodes. The lighthearted adventure comedy ones like the Robin Hood episode last season, or the Viking episode this season, right?
In an action movie, you do have the feels, but they're all feelings of the moment, and they're all very shallow, which is exactly what we've seen in the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who.
Well, no, I think everybody's pretty clear that the feels means the emotion porn that Doctor Who really loves in terms of pulling you back and forth in terms of...
oh, you mean the audience?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of
Exactly.
between the characters.
No.
Because the emotions between the characters, it's...
That's why Rose's death became a GIF on the internet.
Right.
And is constantly reblogged.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And every single time people go, "You are a terrible person," and just got over it. And no, I'm not.
Well, I just don't understand why in New Who we're often told about adventures that sound a lot more interesting than the ones we've seen, and we catch the tail end of something that looks really interesting,
Yeah.
like Clara floating in space with the spider. That was really interesting, but we didn't see that adventure. Instead, we got something else that happened.
It was out of budget.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I suppose you could always ascribe those to audio adventures.
Yeah.
I'd still like the TV show not to lean so much on, oh, this will be explained in some other genre,
Right.
you know?
Right.
I mean, are they really doing that, or is that just the fans assuming that this is going to be taken care of in an audio adventure or a comic book or a
Fan
novel?
fiction will
Or
probably take over at some point and fill in the blanks.
we do have fan fiction. It's
Yeah.
called Mark Gatiss.
Yeah, that's true. When he tries to write heavy, it doesn't work.
But when he writes comedy and the actors all play it straight,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's when it shines.
It doesn't matter.
because that's when comedy is at its
That
best.
frothy stuff at the end of that episode didn't matter because it was comedy.
That's one of the things that I've really loved about the new series in the last 10 years. When they do comedy, the actors play it straight. What I'm waiting for is for them to start playing it straight in the other episodes. We have a lot of scenes where people are explaining the mortal danger that they're in, and then it's punctuated with a joke.
Yeah.
And it feels wrong. I can't explain it. It felt right in the old series,
Right.
and it feels wrong in the new series. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's the delivery of the lines.
I disagree. I like
Or
the way
if it's
that
the placement of the
I
material.
think Capaldi pulls it off.
I'm not talking about Capaldi. I'm talking about everybody else.
Oh.
All the supporting cast. Every companion we've had in the last couple of seasons who has been funny, clever, smart, the funny never feels right.
Yeah, I agree. But, it shouldn't be their place to do that. And when they start doing that kind of stuff, that's when they start becoming insufferably...
Clara?
Yeah, insufferably self-possessed and too sure of their own, immunity to danger. And that's what really got me down about Clara.
Or just throwing offhand remarks about how Jane Austen was a fantastic kisser.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right. Oh, wow, that's a joke. Let's put it in there. It has nothing to do with anything else that's going on.
Right.
It's so awkward.
Yeah,
it's just we have a joke to shoehorn in there.
Maybe that's why she never really felt like she was dead.
Because she never felt like she was really alive as a character?
No, she made a joke right at the end. I don't remember what it was. But we got real serious, real dark, and then it just didn't feel like she died.
Right.
No.
Well, the whole setup
we were
for
just
her...
expecting the joke afterwards.
Yeah. The whole setup for her dying felt contrived.
Yeah.
It was hard to take that seriously because it was so completely put together as just some excuse for her to die. It didn't mean anything.
But if she had died in the previous Christmas episode, I could have believed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. No, they had it perfect.
Not died, but I mean exit.
Well, right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. It wouldn't have been a death, at least not, it wouldn't have been her being killed. It would have been her aging, basically. Just a natural death. But then again, the Pond's death was construed as being Moffat killing them off too, right? And
by some people, I don't really see it that way.
Neither do I. They just got stuck in normal, mundane life and aged.
You know whose exit I really enjoyed? Tegan's.
Yes.
I like Tegan's episode.
Yeah.
She just got fed up with it.
Right.
She got fed up with all the danger. She got fed up with never knowing who was going to live and who was going to die and being put in all of these really bad situations. Even though they always survived and they got out of it and they always got back to the TARDIS in the end, she just got sick of it. And she said, you know what? I can't live this life anymore.
Right. That felt genuine. The only one that I can draw any comparison to, I suppose, would be Martha.
Yeah, she had a good reason to go.
One of the few companions who actually chose, to get off the train.
Actually, honestly, I thought that's what we were leading up to with Clara this season. I thought she was going to get so sick of being almost killed, she was going to get to the end of the season and she was going to say, you know what, enough. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I want to go back to my life. I can't have a boyfriend anymore because of you. He's going to get killed.
Right.
But instead, they reversed that and turned her into an adventure junkie who would never leave the Doctor. And once they did that, they painted themselves into a corner and they had to get rid of her some other way.
Well, no. I was expecting a tragic death. That would be her comeuppance. But instead of, punishing her for what she had become, they rewarded her, which was weird.
Well, I was expecting the Doctor to be punished too. When I knew that Time Lords were in this episode, I thought the Doctor was going to be punished because I thought really...
He got his punishment last episode.
Well, a recurring theme throughout these past 2 seasons has really been the hubris of the Doctor and his companions.
Right.
And they're so sure of themselves and they can handle anything and always come out of it scot-free. And I thought, finally, he's going to break out of the confession dial, which has given the Time Lords whatever time they need to set up his tribunal or whatever. And it's going to be the Doctor's comeuppance. They're going to finally put their foot down and say, look, we're back. You can't run around doing whatever you want anymore. The universe of time has guardians, and we're here to make sure that you don't get into any more trouble. Stop changing history, damn it.
Do you really see them as being back as to having the authority to enforce time?
I was hoping that they would be, but since they're still hiding at the end of the universe, apparently they're not.
It's a more cheap purpose to bringing Gallifrey back.
This really seemed like they didn't really bring Gallifrey back. They brought him back for one episode and then they immediately wrote them right out.
Yeah.
They wrote them right out of the universe again so that we don't really have anything to do with them next season unless the writers really want to.
At least they fixed Gallifrey being the enemy. It was kind of a cool episode, the end of time. It was also very fan servicey and
well, so was this episode.
Yeah.
I think so is every season conclusion.
Yeah.
Season finale. It has to be now. I don't know why, but it has to be.
Yeah.
I guess they want to get those viewing figures up since they've been sagging all season.
Well, do we have any kind of afterword on that?
Hellbent had 4.8 million overnight viewers and a final score of 6.17 million. Final figures include those who recorded and watched within a week.
So things picked up slightly, but it's still really not very good compared to previous seasons.
And honestly, it's not that much of a difference between their season low, which was just below 4.5.
What a pity. Well, I certainly hope they can pick it up for Christmas.
Well, I mean, they're doing a really good job of making the trailers look attractive. I don't know why people aren't watching in the numbers that they used to.
They don't count the number of people that are streaming it illegally online somewhere,
Which
is probably a lot of them.
I think that's probably as they want it to be. The whole point of streaming it illegally is that you don't get counted. Not to mention all the people across the world who download someone's copy of it and then watch it later.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't pay the revenue.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if those viewing figures include BBC America or if those are just in the UK.
I think that's domestic.
Yeah,
that's got to be.
I think that's UK only.
Right, and anything outside of that doesn't pay the BBC's license fee.
But this season was co-produced with BBC America.
Oh.
So don't they get a piece of that pie?
Oh, right. So they would get a little pass.
Yeah.
So maybe they are kowtowing a bit more to American audiences.
But they shouldn't.
No.
What made Doctor Who appealing to American audiences was that it was so foreign.
Say what you like, but I like the guitar. I hope it stays.
Yeah, it's gonna stay as long as Capaldi's there. He's gonna have the guitar. All right, guys. Well, we can look forward to the next non-canon episode of Doctor Who because the Christmas episode never is. And I'll see you in a few weeks.
And hopefully an uptick in the ratings.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Oh, one final word. Chris Lennox is not going to make this podcast.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye now.
Bye.